Hey Husky fans, welcome back into the Huskies Unleashed Podcast, sponsored by Innovation Federal Credit Union. I'm Darnell Wyke, joined alongside by my co-host Elliot Gabler, back again now for the second week in a row. Elliot, how you holding up? We had a long weekend there.
I think I've recovered mostly by now, but yeah, doing well, and just excited to see some good results from the past weekend, and we got another good weekend coming up. So how about you?
Yeah, same here. It was definitely tiring at times, but it was cool to see. I'm glad that we've got some more teams in action. And yeah, it's in Saskatchewan, there's good fan support for every game. So yeah, lots of action on the weekend, and yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned the fans. We had a pretty awesome crowd at women's volleyball for their season opener, on Friday night. They were taking on Regina in another UPC showdown. So a couple matches there. On the Friday, wasn't necessarily their night, lost in straight sets, but rebounded incredibly well and completely flipped the script, going straight sets to win the following night. And I think one of the highlights of that was our Women's Athlete of the Week, Taryn Hanna, 31 points, 27 kills in 6 sets in 2 matches. So, overall, I think like a pretty good weekend for women's volleyball. I'm sure they would have liked to sweep Regina, especially, they were ranked a little higher in the coaches poll, but to split, I think, you still get that season opening win.
Yeah, really. I think they're going to be pretty happy with how they played, especially in that second game. I got a chance to catch up with Coach Mark Dodds after Game 2 there, and we've talked about before, we have a number of really young teams this year, and women's volleyball is another one. Mm-hmm. And I think when you think about the sport, there's just so much that goes on, so much chemistry you need. Each week they're going to continue to build that chemistry, and that's something that Dodds was really enforcing. Mm-hmm. And really, I think we're starting to come through already. And yeah, Taryn Hanna, one of the returning players for the volleyball team there, she really took it upon herself and played really well, and I think there's a lot to be excited for. They've got the bye week this weekend, so some more time to get acclimated, keep working in practice, and I think they should be looking pretty good next weekend.
For sure, yeah. It must be an interesting dynamic there. You start the season with 2 pretty big matches, and then all of a sudden you don't play for the next weekend, and then got to get right back into it. But anyway, we also had women's hockey at home this weekend against number 7 ranked Alberta Pandas. It was a tough first game. Again, they opened the scoring there with the first goal of the game, I believe, in there early in the first period. But then, unfortunately, the Pandas, ranked in the top 10, came back and scored the next 2, took the game 2-1. But again, we saw another good rebound from one of our Husky teams. They fell behind early, but 3 unanswered in the third period to force overtime. Overtime wasn't enough, and then we saw 11 rounds of a shootout. And unfortunately, they fell in that, but still got the point out of that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really impressed with how the women's hockey team played over the weekend. Still searching for that first win, but I think we can say they've gotten better each week, and mm-hmm. they play a top 10 opponent like that. You've got to be happy, and just the will not to give up there at the end. It's Sarah Kendall, right?
Yes, yeah,
Sarah Kendall.
2 goals in that third period.
Yeah, and just late in the third period as well, and yeah, she's finding the back of the net, and just credit to her, and hopefully the coaches will keep finding ways to scheme up those goals, and mm-hmm. I think once that becomes more steady, then we'll have a lot to cheer for here on home ice.
Yeah, and then another great great performance in net from Colby Wilson, who's had a tough start to the season, but I'm sure it feels good to get that performance under your belt.
Oh yeah, Colby was playing great, and especially even in the shootout as well. 11 rounds of shootout. I think in total she only let in 3 goals.
Yeah, 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a really strong performance in the shootout as well, and then also just even after giving up 3, just mm-hmm. the ability to keep your head in the game, stay consistent, just mm-hmm. be that rock for your team, and that shows the support that they have for her as well, and that they'll keep continuing to play hard in front of her and just give them the shot to get back in it. So yeah, good job from Colby as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then we go to I believe our final home game on the Friday night. Men's soccer was in action, taking on Mount Royal, and then later that week, on the weekend, they took on Calgary on Sunday. Another tough weekend for them. They dropped both games. It was a 2-1 against Mount Royal, and then a tough 5-0 loss to Calgary on Sunday, and that was unfortunately their final game of the season, as they did not qualify for the Canada West playoffs.
Yeah, a bit of misreporting earlier by us, so sorry to any of the fans out there.
And to head coach Bryce Chapman.
Yeah, sorry, Bryce. But anyways, the men's soccer team, they did have an outside shot basically heading into the weekend. They needed 4 points, a 4-point swing between them and Lethbridge.
Yep.
On Friday, it looked for a couple minutes, about 20 minutes or so, that we would actually maybe have a glimmer of hope there. Unfortunately, though, Lethbridge ended up winning their game as well, kind of complicating things, making things harder. For Luke Mackey actually scored a goal off of a goalkeeper error. So that put the Huskies up 1-0. I believe it was just after halftime or just before, one of the two. But anyways, MRU kind of stormed back after that, and they were able to get 2 more goals. They're also a team that was playing for a lot on the weekend. So it was unfortunate. Yeah, Luke Mackey scored 58 minutes, and then they gave one up at 71. So it was just a difficult result. And then heading into the final game, of course, team probably would have wanted to end the season on a high note. 5th-year player Mason Agoke, been with the team now for 7 years. He got honored before the game. His mom was there. And she normally isn't able to travel, as she's, I believe, lives out of the country.
Okay.
She was able to come to the game. Hasn't been in quite some time, so that was really nice. Unfortunately, Mason went down with the injury, but he was able to play the first half. So definitely a Husky that will be missed around here.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, that MRU game was tough, because they really probably played one of the best matches of the season against a really good Canada West opponent. They outshot them 13-4, and they were just not able to get another one after that first goal, and an unfortunate comeback from Mount Royal. But now kind of flipping the script and then going to Saturday, we'll take a look at football. Back in action, final home game of the season. They were trying to finish the season with a perfect 4-0 record off at home, and they did just that, beating Regina 22-20 in a low scoring but really exciting game.
Yeah, I think you're probably the best one to talk about this one, Elliot. I unfortunately wasn't able to see most of the game, kind of just there for the start when I saw Amou hit Dawson Lenny down for a really nice go route there. Really well threw him down, avoided the safety there. So about a 50-yard connection on that one set them up for the first early touchdown. But after that, I kind of came back. I was following on my phone. I saw the game was pretty close. So do you want to maybe just share some more about kind of how the game went and your thoughts on it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was a great start from the Huskies. Scoring that touchdown the first drive or second drive, to your point, backed up in their own end zone, or close to their own end zone, and Anton hitting Dawson Lenny, and then the other catch on that drive that really stands out is Cody Gutek. Along the sideline, he kind of ran a little bit of an out route, stretched out, and made a really nice grab, and then I think just either next play or a couple plays later, it was Riker into the end zone, and that was pretty big touchdown for Riker in the Husky program. He sets a new record for career rushing touchdowns with the 21st of his career. So a pretty cool achievement for him, and his 9th of the season. So he's having a great season. But really from that point on, it was just a really real defensive battle, which is classic for Regina this season. It's seemingly played everybody close, but just haven't really been able to pull out some of those games late. And I think the highlight for the Husky defense, was maybe a forced fumble late in the third quarter. Regina had taken the lead a couple drives earlier. The Husky offense wasn't really doing a whole lot on offense in that third quarter, but then Ethan Lang makes a really nice tackle. Helmet to the football, balls out. I think it was Jackson Kremchinski who recovered it and set the Huskies up for a field goal, I believe, on the ensuing drive. So then that really, once they retook the lead, they were able to run the ball, control the clock, limit Regina. And then late in the game, they scored another touchdown, and then again Riker kind of just took over that last drive. I think he picked up most of his rushing yards there, but they're all important, and that really allowed them to seal the win there, and they now head to Calgary for their final home game of the season.
Yeah, it's really nice to have a running back like Riker Frank, someone who can control the game, control the tempo there, and I think, just like looking at his play style, like he's a really physical runner, and it's just as the game goes on, continue to wear down that defense. Now, this matchup coming up with Calgary is an interesting one because I want to see how we respond to their defense this time around. They've got really strong defense, and that's really their calling card and what keeps them live in games. So I think it'll be a good tune-up before they head into the playoffs.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. And then back onto the soccer pitch, women's soccer also closed out the regular season. They were on the road in Winnipeg, taking on Manitoba Saturday and Winnipeg on Sunday. Tied Manitoba 0-0, and then beat Winnipeg 2-0 thanks to goals from Madison Mayer and Marie Kilcher. So they finished the season with a 7-2-5 record and are headed to the postseason.
Yeah, interesting result there against Manitoba. They are a team that continually got better as the season goes along, so it's not so much that surprising to me, just knowing that kind of how they were headed throughout the year. And then Winnipeg just being a 2-0, I think maybe just a result of last game of the season, and because we did see that 9-0 performance earlier on. But I think we're pretty excited about the playoffs. And speaking of women's soccer, we do happen to have coming onto the show today a couple fellow podcasters of the hit program Dawg Dinner, Amou, Madol, and Caitlin Stove. They'll be joining us right after the break.
Is that it?
Well, cut that for now.
We didn't talk about wrestling.
Yeah.
Hey Husky fans, Huskies Unleashed is brought to you by Innovation Federal Credit Union. Open a no-fee bank account and earn $50. Simply enter the promo code Husky50 when applying and save about $11 every month. Enjoy free and unlimited Interact e-transfer services. Discover a lifelong bank account that's still free when you're done school, and bank anywhere, anytime across Canada and internationally. We also saw another Husky team open up their season outside of women's volleyball with the Husky wrestling teams in their first action of the season. They headed to Calgary on Saturday for the Dino Open, and after a really strong 23-24 season, they were back on the mats and really kind of just settled right into things in Calgary. Men finished first there, placing just above the defending Canada West champions in Alberta, and then women completed a second place finish as well. So really strong performances from there. On the men's side, actually men and women, we saw two gold medalists, Cole Sanderson in the 76 kilogram weight class, and Owen McGilvery in the 125 kilogram weight class for the men, and then Sierra Mullen in the 53 kilogram weight class, and Maya Phillips in the 93 kilogram weight class on the women's side.
Yeah, great start for our wrestling program. I think, like you said, Elliot, this is a season where there's some high expectations on a number of athletes, and they showed up week one, did their thing on the mat. Pretty excited. Later in the month, we'll be hosting our own wrestling event. It should be pretty cool. I know, just kind of looking at the pictures and some of the videos of how it's been in the world in the years past. It's a big event, and it's a great time. So if people want to come out to that, I'd strongly encourage it. And like you said, really great performances. I think Sierra Mullen is definitely the standout, pinning two of her opponents en route to that gold medal. So yeah, I mean, wrestling's back. It's a great time, and yeah, we're hoping to continue seeing our athletes perform the way they have.
For sure, yeah, and you touched on expectations. I think there's probably a little bit of added pressure this year too, with the Huskies also set to host Canada West Championships. So you want to make sure you got a strong team when you perform for your fans at home.
And another team on the road this weekend was our men's hockey team, number 9 ranked team in U Sports in the country right now, facing number 7th ranked Alberta Golden Bears, who of course there is the perennial rivalry with the cross-provincial opponents there. A couple of tough results there. Elliot, you want to walk us through that?
Yeah, for sure. Just one thing I will correct you on. They were the number 4 team heading into the weekend.
Okay.
They are now number 9, which might give you a little bit of a preview of what happened this weekend. They did unfortunately drop both games by identical scores, 5-2. Again, Alberta quality opponent. I think they moved up into the top 5 of the U Sports rankings this week. They were 7, as you mentioned, heading into the weekend. And it really, I think, just a couple of tough third periods where, some of that pressure might have just broken through on the Husky side, and Alberta was able to get a few in each of those final frames. Despite that, there's still a lot of good things to take away from the 2 games. They've had a plethora of different scorers get on the score sheet. I think 22 different players with a point. So I think they're just still, kind of putting things together earlier in the season. I know there was a lot of juggling of line combinations and things like that. So it is still early, 6 games in. But, I think, again, just quality opponent, couple of tough games. They do have the benefit of seeing them 4 more times this season, so they will be able to get some revenge hopefully later this year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 100% agree. I think with them being such a deep team, yeah, that is one of the things where, they are going to have to continue and play around with that lineup until they find what works best. With hockey, it's always interesting, do you want to stack your line? Your top 2 lines, or do you want to spread out maybe some more of that goal scoring and continue that pressure throughout the game? And yeah, I think going into Edmonton, playing in their house, always a tough environment. With that as well, I think you mentioned the quality of opponent. I think although Calgary has been probably one of the top of the conference for the last 2 years, I'd say it's definitely the best opponent they've played so far, and I think a bit of a taste of what to expect this year in the conference, and I think the boys are ready to raise their game as well.
For sure, yeah, and they got no slowing down again for another week with another really, really strong opponent coming into MVP this weekend.
Hey Husky fans, the Huskies Unleashed Podcast is brought to you by Innovation Federal Credit Union, now offering no essay scholarships. Need help with education costs, minus the hassle of writing that dreaded scholarship essay? Well, you're in luck. Enter for a chance to win one of 4 monthly $1,000 scholarship draws or our $10,000 scholarship draw. Just head on over to innovationcu.ca and do the application from there.
All right, we're now joined here by a couple of Husky men's hockey players, Liam Keeler and Gunnar Kinniburgh, 3rd and 4th year student athletes, I believe. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Awesome. And so kind of to kick things off, you guys had a pretty solid start to the season, but really no time to kind of lean into it or slowly get into the season. You've had you're gonna have 3 straight weeks against ranked opponents. Some pretty good teams. What do you guys think of that?
Against good teams, you always want to test yourself and see where you're at. And it's more fun to play higher level hockey. It's fun to play against good players, good teams. So. Yeah, we want to keep testing ourselves and play against these opponents and prove that we are up there with them, if not above them.
Yeah, Liam?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think, those are easy games to get up for. The games against ranked opponents, you're playing some top players in the league, the best teams, and that's exciting for us. We think we're right up there with the best, so you got to beat the best to be the best. So it's exciting, and I'd rather have it that way, I think.
For sure. And with, sorry, just jumping in here. With that, yeah, because you're also ranked number 9 right now in U Sports, so 4 U Sports top 10 ranked teams in the Canada West. Like, compared to like years past, do you see like at a level of play that's like higher than it has been in years past?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this league has come a long way. I think even when I was coming into it, thinking about coming into the league, you don't really understand how good of quality the hockey is here. I think Canada West especially has a lot of strong teams. The competition has definitely got closer. I think from the top team to the bottom team, it's going to be a tough competition every time you play. So I would completely agree with that the league has come a long way, and that's a credit to the players that have come before us, and we're just looking to keep improving it.
You mentioned games that are easy to get up for, and you guys are coming off a weekend. Obviously not an ideal result, but against Alberta in your first 2 of 6 meetings with them, there's a pretty storied rivalry between the Huskies and the Golden Bears. Is that kind of something that you guys have experienced and are kind of bought into that, or is it a little different now with the teams compared to some of the history?
I think we've kind of bought into that. It's really fun, like Liam said, to get up for those games. And the Claire Drake is always a fun environment to play, and the student section is always there showing up, and ours does too as well. But it is really exciting to play against U of A.
For maybe some of the fans that are new, and like even me and Elliot, we're both new to Saskatoon here. Can you maybe just share a bit about like the history of kind of the rivalry between the 2 schools there?
Yeah, I think back since the very beginning, as long as we've been told, or these 2 programs have been started, that's the biggest rivalry. In our eyes, it's us and the Bears, and you can see it just in the way the fans show up for those games. It's a different environment, and it means a little bit more. And obviously I wasn't involved too much in the glory days, maybe, where it was just U of A, USask every single year compete for the title. But I think that rivalry is still 100% there, and it's a team that we're really excited to play. And obviously we didn't get the result we wanted this past weekend, but we get them 4 more times, so another opportunity coming down the road. But we got to keep our picture small and just look at Mount Royal right now and take care of business with them.
Now, kind of turning towards the team itself and your squad this year, you guys are like incredibly deep. I think you get 22 players with a point, 18 with 2 or more. Is that something you guys kind of look at as a strength, or are you more? Or sorry, I'm gonna cut that. All right. So turning now towards the actual team itself, and your team this year, you have a lot of players that have gone on the score sheet. 22 players, I think, with a point. Is that something you guys think of a lot? Who's on the score sheet and that type of thing, or is the depth more just who's in the lineup? This game is tonight. We're just focused on that.
I think the score sheet's awesome. Like that's a lot of different guys getting on the score sheet, but. Our depth truly is one of our strengths. I think it's not about points; it's about playing the right way and doing the right things. And we have a lot of older guys and leaders on the team that can play that right way and show the younger guys the right way to do things. And that's not getting on the score sheet every night.
Right, and sort of and kind of along those lines of that depth, you guys have a pretty strong trio of goaltenders as well. I know Ethan Chadwick hasn't seen playing time yet in the regular season, but he really adds to that depth of that pairing you guys return. What is kind of that feeling of playing in front of some of those guys every night?
Yeah, it's a really comforting feeling when you have somebody back there that if you make a mistake, he's got your back. He's going to make the big save at the big time, and we're confident in all 3 of our guys. They all played really well in the preseason. Chatty played great in the preseason, did a great job coming in, and I think Koizi and Roddy are up there with any goalie in our league. So yeah, we're very confident in all 3, and it's definitely a comforting feeling having him back there.
I'll even add that as a D-man, it's really nice to know that you have those 3 guys back there. It's really comforting that if I do make a mistake, that they can save me. They're back there to help out. It's really nice too. They're both really good all 3 of them are good at playing the puck, and that's really nice to D-man too. Take the load off me a bit, so like Liam said, it's really nice having all three of them back there.
For sure, yeah. I think we saw a couple sparks from Roddy, especially in that shootout winner against Calgary, going 8 rounds without allowing goals. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. And definitely not a guy you gain confidence shooting on in practice. So it always feels good to get one by him, but don't think you're going to get too many. So.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit of like a catch-22 with that. Great to have a great goalie, but maybe not so much in practice.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we've got MRU this weekend, like you said, big time opponent. Thoughts going into that? How are we feeling heading into that, and what's kind of what we can share of like kind of the game plan, heading into that game?
Really exciting. I mean, another ranked opponent, like you guys kind of touched on. Really exciting to play a ranked opponent. Excited to be back at home. Feels like forever since we played at home, so really excited to play in front of our fans in our student section and hopefully use that to our advantage with them being loud and the excitement. As for the game plan, I mean, we're just going to play hard, compete hard, and make this a tough building to play in, and we hope the fans can help us do that.
When you're looking at the game, they got a couple award-winning players coming back to their team this year, and Connor Bouchard and I can't remember the goalie's name. I'm blanking on it now. But U Sports Player and Goalie of the Year, are those guys you single out in the game plan, or are you kind of just focused on the team as a whole?
I think a little bit of both. I think anytime you're playing against high-end skilled players, you kind of key in on them a little bit more. You have to be physical on them, take away their time and space. But overall, they've got a lot of depth and skill on their whole team. I think having a couple top-end players doesn't take away from the depth of their team or the skill they have up and down their lineup. So it's going to be a great test to go against those guys that you mentioned, but we can't look past any of their players because they can all make plays if we give them time.
Sure. Well, appreciate you guys joining us. We're excited to watch you this weekend back at home. Kind of, if we want to leave things off with, if there's somebody on the fence about what they're looking to do on Friday or Saturday night, what would you say to them to get them to come out here?
And you could look right in the camera right over there.
That one?
Yeah.
I would say it's going to be better than PBR. Forget about PBR. Come watch the Huskies.
Yeah, I would say we really feel your presence there. It means a lot to us to have the fans and the student support. That's something that gives us a ton of energy, and we have a huge goal to win a national championship this year, and that's just not for just our team; it's for the whole school. So come out, support, and watch a good show.
Awesome. Well,
Amazing.
Again, thanks again, guys, for joining us. We'll be there on Friday and Saturday. All right, welcome back to Huskies Unleashed. Now let's dive into things to come, starting off with our playoff preview. A big weekend first for Husky Athletics, postseason action of the season.
Yeah, lots to be excited about, Elliot. First up, we have the men's and women's cross-country Canada West Championships, with the men kicking things off at 12 p.m. out in Camrose, Alberta, and then women follow at 1 p.m. We've got, we've talked about it a lot. We've had some good results on the individual side. I think we're hoping to make the push for a medal, hopefully, on both sides there. But yeah, want to give us some more info on that?
For sure, yeah. Just kind of starting off with the women's side. They are looking to get back to the podium. They have a pretty good streak going of podiums dating back to 2019 at the cross country championships, or Canada West cross country championships. This year, however, has been a challenging year for their team, dealing with some injuries on the roster that may affect their chances of continuing that streak. They've got a couple runners who may be sort of race time decisions, but despite that, they still have quite a bit of hope at carrying their team back to that top three, and Caitlin Harrison and Jenica Swartz. They've had really strong seasons. Caitlin Harrison finishing first at the Dakota Classic and then fourth at the Stewart Cup. And she's always a threat to get onto the podium. And with the course being aggressive, as I'm told by head coach Jason Randall, not sure, can't tell you exactly what that means, but he's the expert. They are still confident that she'll be able to challenge the front of the pack with that course. And then Jenica's also had a strong season and is looking to continue her streak of finishing in that top 14 as a Canada West All-Star this year. And then flipping over to the men's side, they have a really great shot at getting to the podium. A really strong trio leading them at the front in Anthony Atea, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Quincy Fast, and Alexander Webster, who've all ran extremely well. Anthony did miss the Stewart Cup, but Quincy finished 9th, and Alexander right behind him in 10th. With the entire conference present at that meet, the only one of the season that they've attended with every team there. So a great showing there. And then they're both hopefuls to finish in the top 14 as well, and potentially challenge for that those top spots in the points. And then they really just need or they're looking for a couple big performances outside of that from really 4 different runners who can kind of round out that top 5 score of top 5 runners who actually contribute to the point totals.
That's right.
And that kind of next group is Caden Deck, Jacob White, and Javen and Kinley Crosschild. So if they can kind of have some good days, finish in the low 20s area, I think that the men really have a shot at the podium, and which they haven't reached since 2002.
Whoa.
Gotten close the last 2 seasons, but they've been 4th the last 2 seasons, but trying to get over that hump this Saturday.
Yeah, time to end the drought.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good to know that information. Obviously, both of us probably don't really fully understand what an aggressive course means, but I think if we can translate that a little bit for the viewers, I think the runners kind of know going into the mindset, and I think hearing you relay how Jason's described it, I think it must fit Caitlin's style pretty well. And those big 3 runners there for us on the men's side, I think just having that competition even between them is really nice, especially throughout the weeks in practice and leading up to it. I think when they get in there, they're all going to kind of push each other. So it's nice to have people that are around where you're at, and then you are competing with them and also competing with others. And then just that final couple spots there, just looking for those big performances. I think all those names you mentioned, like Caden, Javen, they're all guys that are capable of pulling up a big performance for the team. So I'm very optimistic and hopeful that the drought can be ended this weekend, and we'll be able to get a podium finish.
For sure, yeah. And another sort of record on the men's side that they're hoping to break in sort of not an ideal record you want your program to have, but look, they're building, and they feel like they're there. Is the last time men's team had an All-Star was 2015, and the last time they had 3 All-Stars was 2001. So the chance to break a lot of those records this weekend, and they've Jason's really been building this program up, and I think they've got it to a place where they can compete now with those top programs, and it should be an exciting Saturday out in Camrose.
Yeah, and just one more quick note, Elliot, now that you brought up the Canada West All-Stars, is that it's actually different than the other sports as well. So for cross country, it's not a season award. It's actually just a single event award. So it's going to be based on however people perform on the day is going to determine whether or not they're Canada West All-Star. So a lot of pressure on the event and a lot of pressure on these athletes. So another just remarkable thing that these athletes have to go through each week.
Yeah, 7 first team All-Stars and 7 second team, so you got to finish in that top 14 to make it to that list. So we're looking forward to it.
Next up on our playoff slate is women's soccer, who I believe they finished 3rd.
Yes, number 3 seed in the Prairie Division. They're headed over to Victoria to take on number 2 in the Pacific, UVic.
It should be a very good game. Both really strong teams. I think really those top 6 seeds in women's soccer this year are really all pretty live. to go on a run here. Yeah, women's soccer, we've seen kind of throughout the year. They've played really well against all the opponents. We continue to talk about it each week. Just the depth of the roster. There's a lot of different ways they can go, but one game knockout is dangerous.
Yes.
Especially on the road.
For sure, yeah. And I recently got to sit down with head coach Jerson Berendika Hamilton. I think I got that right.
You got it, yeah.
He kind of echoed that. Their depth has really been able to keep them healthy and fresh, and I think they feel really good heading into this game. They're motivated. They have a lot of positive momentum going their way. So, and I think the other thing that is probably a bit of a comfort is they have played these guys in the Vikes, and they did beat them last year. Canada West bronze medal game, they took on UVic. Regulation time was not enough. They were able to get it done 4-2 in penalty kicks to claim the bronze medal. So I think we can expect a similar game. Victoria is a gritty, tough team, but and I think we're not going to see a lot of open space there. But I think for our women's Husky team, I think that they can go up pretty much against whoever right now. I think they've shown that they can compete against that top caliber of team in Canada West, and I think this will be a great test for them. And again, another chance to show the consistency of that program. 12th straight playoff appearance. Failed to miss the playoffs under Jerson since he's been here, and should be a fun game.
Yeah, couple quick things that popped up. Well, first, shout out to Coach on his 10 years with the program. Just recently came up the other day, had a nice video tribute that went out both on the women's soccer account and the Huskies main Instagram feed. So everyone, encourage you all to go check that out. And yeah, it's really been, I think, one of the things that I get a lot from, talking with the players on the team, talking with the coaches is just, they have a healthy confidence. So when I say that, I mean, they don't come across, as overconfident or cocky or, that they're going to underestimate their opponents. But I believe that they have this healthy confidence that really they believe that anytime they step on the pitch, they are capable of being the best team. They know exactly what they have to do, and it just comes down to their own execution. So I think when they're really focusing in on that, that's when they play their best. I'm looking right now, and I believe, let me just look here at some of the standings, but it looks like they're going to go play on grass.
Yes,
this weekend. So what do you think kind of that will have an effect, if at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I didn't play soccer, so I don't really know how grass versus turf affects you. It obviously affects the game planning because we see the women's soccer team practicing out there on the grass and not at Griffiths. So, I'm not the expert in soccer, so I can't exactly speak to how that affects the game. Maybe you can.
Yeah, I'd say, it just also comes down to your footwear a bit. So I'm sure a lot of the girls will have 2 pairs of cleats going. And yeah, it is a different game, but luckily for us, we have 2 experts coming on to the show who will be able to talk about us some more. So maybe it's a question posed for them, and yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should probably leave it to the actual players to tell us what the difference is. For sure. And then just kind of quickly before we wrap up the playoff preview, we did, Canada West will be announcing or have announced the 2024 Women's Soccer All-Stars.
Yep.
And we did see 2 Huskies appear on that list. Alyssa Dagnoni and Nami Nguyen, both finishing as a second team All-Stars.
I thought maybe we'd sneak another one in, but maybe, just record-wise, I'm sure they have their own ways of figuring it all out. Alyssa, of course, very strong offensive season, top 3 in goal scoring. Really, she's been one of the best on the Huskies all year, very well deserved. Nami Nguyen really holding it down there in the middle of the field for the Huskies, doing a lot on both ends. She's a player whose name you may not hear called every broadcast, but it's one that, if she's doing her job, you may not hear much of her. And clearly, Canada West, the decision makers there agree that she put together a really strong season. And yeah, she's just been ultra consistent throughout the entire year. So both very well deserved.
Okay, yeah. And now I guess we'll jump into those interviews with a couple of our women's soccer players.
Yeah, for sure. Coming right up. Dawg Dinner times Huskies Unleashed.
Hey Husky fans, Huskies Unleashed is brought to you by Innovation Federal Credit Union. Open a no-fee bank account and earn $50. Simply enter the promo code Husky50 when applying and save about $11 every month. Enjoy free and unlimited Interact e-transfer services. Discover a lifelong bank account that's still free when you're done school. And bank anywhere, anytime across Canada and internationally.
Oh, I'm nervous, guys.
All right, everyone. As we have been talking about all show, we're super excited for our first ever crossover podcast with the hosts here of Dawg Dinner, Amou, Madol, and Caitlin Stove. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
We're super excited, like I said, to have you here. And I think just to kick things off, so third place finish this year in the Prairie Division for women's soccer. And now you're heading into a matchup with the Victoria Vikes on the road this Saturday. What are your thoughts heading into that game?
I think we're all pretty excited. We've seen them last year in the bronze medal game, and our teams are still pretty similar. We didn't really lose many people. They didn't lose many people either, so I think it'll be a good matchup. Hard fight, but it'll be good.
Yeah, we have a lot of respect for them. I think it's going to be a 90-minute match. They're very much, they come hard in offense and defense, so as long as we show up and find the back of the net, I think it should be a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in conversation with Jerson that he thinks similarly it'll be a very close game. You guys wanted penalty kicks last year, so it was, but you had mentioned before we came on the show that they might have been a little bit all over you guys at times in that game. Now I think you seem to be peaking at the right time for sure in the season. You have a lot of momentum coming into this. Do you think that you'll see a little bit of a different game play out in that sense this Saturday?
I think last year, first half was very defensive. Like our back line was so in tune, but I think now that we played them and we've found the confidence this season, I think that we're going to show up in the first half and it won't be exactly the same.
No, I agree. I'm hoping that we come out hard and it's not a repeat of that. But
we have a lot of respect for them, but confidence in ourselves.
Exactly.
I think, so.
Yeah.
For sure. I think that's, we kind of talked about it a bit before in the podcast, but that's a sense that you kind of get from being around your team is like that you do have that confidence like going into each and every game. And what's that kind of like though? And like, how does that help you when you play a team like in the Pacific Division, because it's you never get to face them during the regular season, so you really only face them during the playoffs. So what role does kind of confidence play into that, and how do you prepare for an opponent you don't really ever play?
Honestly, I think confidence is like the first step. Like when we have the belief in our abilities, even though we haven't played the Pacific teams, like watching them through film is one aspect how we try to prepare. But we also always try to bring it back and focus on ourselves, because you can only really prepare for the opponent as much as like film shows you. But we kind of really try to fix what we need to work on and then just bring out what we're best at and just really focus on our skill sets and then go into the game confident that way.
And I think it was also quite lucky that we played them last year, because I think the last time we played them was 4 years before that. So very lucky that we got to see kind of how they play.
Yeah, and you guys are you've really shown your depth this season, and I think that's definitely, from my understanding, has been an impressive part of your season. Kind of how does that play into now playoffs? You obviously want to put your best foot forward in a playoff game, but how does that depth kind of? I know you're entering the game healthy and all of that, but how does that help you in a playoff game, kind of set up for that quarterfinal?
I think that it really helped build chemistry among a bunch of players a little bit more than last season. We were able to kind of play around with different lineups at different times. So I think that's a little bit more preparation.
I agree. I think having depth on a team is also like a weapon too, because teams can they can think that one person's going to be on, but maybe we switch it up and someone else is on. So it's good to have that depth, because we believe in all the players and we work hard in training. So it's good to have that I think.
And one thing cool about our depth too is like everyone has different skill sets in
Yeah.
each position. Like our midfield, nobody's the same. In our back line, nobody's the same. So
agree.
we can
Yeah.
put in players for different things at different times of what we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were kind of chatting about this earlier, but you guys are playing on a grass field, right, in Victoria? Darnell brought up the point of, what difference that makes, and I told him I've never played soccer, so I can't answer that. So we are now posing the question to you. How does that affect, your game plan and then obviously on game day?
I'd say depending on how it's cut, it could be a little bit more bouncy.
Yeah.
Usually there's more cushion, and I think on turf it kind of, you don't have to give as much vim into your pass. It kind
Yeah.
of,
Say
it's a little
that
bit
again.
easier.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Like you don't need to give as much vim in your pass, like as much
Like
power.
sometimes on the
Okay.
grass.
Like on turf,
Okay.
but on grass, like there's a little bit of
And like
friction.
when your touch is bad on grass, everyone sees it. Like I feel like on the turf, like you can like
Yeah.
kind of like recover
Yeah.
from that, but sometimes on the grass you kind of get exposed.
And
but-
different fields have different like textures to them.
Yeah.
Like there's random grooves or random divots that you kind of. So we, especially as a team, we make sure that we go walk out before the game and kind
Right.
of check
Yeah,
out the field,
just get a
see
feel for it,
how the,
yeah.
especially goalkeepers, how the box is and such. So
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, instead of the turf where it's always perfect, there's no imperfections.
Yeah.
Just trying to find those early imperfections
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
knowing, I guess, how the field is gonna play that day is a
Exactly.
big thing.
Yeah, usually in warm up we try to test it out, and then we also walk the field too, like Stowe
Yeah.
was saying. So, yeah.
And is there a preference? Like, I mean, you play on turf all the time, but is there a preference between the two?
I think I like the turf.
me too.
Yeah.
I feel faster on the turf.
I'm personally a fan of your podcast after listening to a couple episodes. But I wanted. For another question is, why haven't we heard anything lately?
Okay,
It's
everyone's
my
been
fault.
asking.
It's my fault. I'm
No,
so
it's just
busy. and
we're so busy with
Yes.
season, and like we're like big on like we want to give quality rather than like a bunch of episodes where like
Yeah.
people might not like really be into it. So like we've kind of taken a little bit of a break. Sorry.
I think it's
well,
our fault. We haven't announced anything. It just goes
We're
to
just like
everyone.
silent.
But we're trying to make like an inventory so that we don't reach this again, where
Yeah.
we kind of don't have the time and then we don't have content to push out.
Yeah,
so
I think
we're
it's
kind
hard,
of
but we're trying to
building a reservoir.
figure a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Coming
Well,
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay
Alright,
tuned.
yeah.
It's coming real soon. Promise.
Yeah, so anyways, I wanted to give the opportunity though to take some of that energy from Dawg Dinner and bring it here to Huskies Unleashed. I know on your last podcast it was preseason talking about goals, so I was wanting to do a report card. So you can both give yourself grades on kind of what your goals were, and then I think it'll be good content.
You have the goals written down, right?
I do.
Okay.
Please remind me.
Okay, so Stove, I'll start with you.
Okay.
So your goals were to be more of a vocal leader, finding your perfect recovery, and also having fun and really emphasize taking a positive approach to your mistakes.
Yeah.
So you can give yourself the grades, and then Amou, you also give her grades.
Okay.
What kind of like scale are we doing? Like,
I'd say like a
A's or-
A, B, C, D.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully no F's.
you might be surprised. What was the first one again?
So first one is be more of a vocal leader.
Okay. I think I would give myself an A-. I think that I have been a lot more vocal, and I think I wouldn't say that I'm like as much a vocal leader in telling people stuff on the field, but I say when there's moments off the field or in breaks, I definitely make sure that I have conversations a lot more. So yeah, I'll give myself an A-.
I'd say A+.
Oh.
Honestly, I've seen how much you've grown with communication on
Yeah.
the field, and like we always have little connects sometimes in practice, and
Yeah.
like I can see that your wheels are always turning, and you're always giving people feedback, always open to feedback.
Yeah.
So I think you're good at that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I
Good.
wanted to, vocal leader, but then also by example, so.
I think
Yeah.
you lead by example mostly on the
That's
field,
what I was
and
thinking,
then
yeah.
it's like afterwards you talk. and
Exactly.
then-
Yeah,
But,
thanks. And then,
have you seen, sorry, just to jump in here, have you seen like that make like a difference on the field, like Stove being more of a vocal leader this season? Like has that helped the team as well?
I think it's definitely made a difference, especially having a midfielder like Stove. She's very like seasoned, has lots of experience. So I think it's important when the
Just say
younger
old.
players. everything's fine. I think it's important for the younger players to kind of see what she's doing on the field, and when she's talking and giving direction, I think they really hold on to what she's saying. So I think it's made a big difference with our chemistry on the field, our success. So yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Next one is finding your perfect recovery.
Okay, I'm gonna give myself an A+ on this
Honestly,
one
I was
because
gonna say that too.
I wouldn't say that I do as much as everyone else, but if you compare it to a couple years ago, I think that I found it, and I haven't been very sore all season or any of that. Yeah, and I do roll out. I don't like rolling out, but I do, and I make sure that I like focus on it, and then Normatec. So and then I make sure like hot bath or stretching at home. So I think that I did find it in a way that works for me.
I agree. I give the same grade because from when I first came on the team to now, like her recovery has like changed like
Well, I don't know, should I say this? Okay. you can't ground me for having the pass. But I would sneak out like
No,
the minute
she'd
the
slip
coaches
away.
would turn away.
Out the back door. Like where's Stove? She's
Like at home.
Like literally. But she's made like a big change in how she recovers. Like she actually comes in, rolls out, and even before practice, like ankle priming and like your stretches that you do for like your shins and stuff. And then after practice, just using the Normatecs. Like we don't ice bath, but like the Normatecs.
Yeah, that's our thing.
No, like but like Normatec works for her, and like, she's made a big difference there. So.
What is Normatec?
It's like. Pretty much it's like compression on like.
It is.
We use like the boots. There's like boots. There's ones you can put on like your like quads.
Hips.
And then I think there's arm ones
yeah.
too. But like pretty much it just like compresses you. And
It like I think it works its way and like moves the lactic acid. Is what I think.
Okay.
Don't quote me.
Yeah, don't quote us. We're not experts. We just
like
we just
it.
buy into it. Yeah.
Whatever it is, it works.
Lactic acid and blood pressure too.
There it is.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. That was like 1/3
We're
right.
like got the lactic acid.
All right. Well, yeah. Good to know that the recovery's improved throughout the years. I guess more important when you're old.
Yeah. Yeah. There it is. I'm leaving.
And then final one is just having fun and emphasizing being positive about your mistakes.
Okay, I would say a B+ or an A-. I think that I had some highs and lows naturally, and I think that it was probably a little unrealistic to say that I was going to be positive the entire season. I think, like, obviously there's moments where I was disappointed, and rightfully so. I think it'd be almost concerning if I wasn't.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'd say B+ or A-. I made sure that, like, I showed up for the team when I could. Yeah, I don't know.
I'd say B. I think that. Oh.
I'm joking. Go ahead.
I think you have been positive, and like you even saying like there were moments where like it's obviously hard with sport. You always naturally you're gonna have some disappointment, and if you're not mad about it, like that's like maybe you should be. But I think you really did a good job of working through it, though. I think most of it, like in the past years, you like kind of like retreat to like just like coming into yourself and like not speaking about it. But I think you've done better at like sharing your disappointments, like whether it's like with me or another teammate, and like having conversations. So I think you've made a big difference there, and then it's helped on the field too.
So can I say B-?
I said B+.
You said B.
Okay, B+. Okay, B+.
All right, pretty solid report card. I'd say A+, A-, B+.
Yeah, sounds better than my grades at times in my life.
Academic alternating.
Do you want to read it?
Sure, yeah, okay. Amou, your goals were being consistent and intentional both on and off the field, embracing every moment, and staying mindful. So we'll start with the first one, being consistent and intentional both on and off the field.
Okay, I'm gonna give myself an A+ on that actually, because I think I've finally found like what works for me, having a good routine, and I think I've been consistent on the field with my performances, so I have been happy this season with how I've went out and performed, but also like off the field, like with my recovery, being consistent with that and stretching and making sure I'm getting the work in the gym and just doing the extra little things that I need to be prepared for each weekend. So I'd say I was pretty happy with that one. So,
all right.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that either consistent or just consistently getting better throughout the season, like really growing into it. So I'd say A+ as well.
Awesome. And okay, embracing every moment.
I say I have been embracing it, Rome, trying to be present, just not wishing away for the next day to come. Like, I really tried to come to training, whether it's like 8 p.m. or like our noon practices. I'm really just like, yeah, I would love to be here. Like,
I don't have to, I get to.
yeah, truly. So I'd say like A- maybe. Like, yeah, A-.
I would say A+.
Oh.
I think that you're always like locked in and focused on what we're practicing on, whether it's like in our defense or offense, and making sure that you're holding players accountable about which opponent we're playing that weekend. So I would say A+.
Okay.
I'm sure too, as like a student athlete, balancing both your academics and athletics, that
Yeah,
can be challenging at
it
times.
can. Definitely hard sometimes, but we make it work. Well, try to at least.
Just kind of along those lines, like I do kind of, I'm curious about it. You know, when you have like you're in midterm season or something, like do you find that kind of affects your, you know, not your maybe your performance, but your approach to your athletics? Like, is that how do you balance that?
I think it's hard for me. I'm a big like planner, so like I just always try to write the things that I have to do in the day and like fit in training in that like picture so that I have a good image of what I'm tackling that day.
Right.
So I think that's been a big thing for me, but I think definitely with midterms and stuff, it takes a mental toll and it's hard to come to practice and be present. But I also try to think of it as like, this is my break from studying. So if I can just lock in for like these 2 hours or however long it is, then like I can go home and study a little bit more. Like just like giving myself and my mind a break at practice usually helps. So I just try to be focused on that and usually helps with the stress.
Right.
So fair.
Still.
I would say it doesn't affect how I approach practice. I'd say though, I do work 2 jobs to afford like this lifestyle. So I would say it more affects me in like a fatigue, like I had to
Right.
stay up later to study for the midterm, and so that I'm showing up to practice not with a different mindset, but with like literally like
Yeah, you're, like,
physically
so
tired.
tired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'd say that's it.
Yeah.
All right. And your third goal, staying mindful.
I think I have been mindful. Like, I think this year I've really taken in being a 5th year, and just every moment I'm like grateful for just being here. So I really try to always bring it back to that, self-reflect on the day, and just like be really like, I don't know, be mindful, I guess, like of like what I have and what I'm about to like walk away from, I guess, like after the season. So I think I'd say an A+. Probably.
Academic method.
Yeah, I did my homework.
But I concur, yeah. I think especially like you're such a positive influence on the team, and I think we had that conversation with our team kind of going around, and I do agree. I think that you, especially this season, kind of go out of your way to make sure that you're filling up everyone's cups and making sure that like everyone feels good. So I'd say A+ as well.
Thanks.
That's amazing.
Good job.
Congratulations on some great report cards.
You know,
Couple all academic.
student athlete,
Yeah. It's our 5th year.
academic.
We get it.
All right. Do you want to go into your question period now?
A couple more questions just came up with. I know you also always like to ask each other questions, so borrowing that as well. But what was your top moment from the 2024 regular season?
Oh, I can go first.
Yeah, go first, please.
My top moment was the senior night. I scored my first U Sport goal, so it was pretty hyped to be in front of our home crowd, and it was against Regina too, so my old team. So like, it was nice to be able to score my first goal senior night. So
It was an amazing goal too.
thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably my highlight, I think.
Okay, I think I'm gonna say the same only because at the beginning of the season, me and Amou personally like made sure we intentionally at the end of every practice shots exactly
Yeah,
like that.
literally.
So I was bawling on the side.
So it was like our goal.
Yeah, everybody was crying. But it was funny too because on the bench, all of us were like, I think Amou's gonna score today, and like literally a minute later, she.
Yeah, that's funny. 'Cause
Sniper.
everyone was saying that to me after the game, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Like,
So I'd say that's my
Yeah.
favorite too, because it really showed like all your hard work paid off.
so like you helped me get there, I'd say.
Yeah.
So it was our goal.
I did that.
So like,
I don't know if Canada West will see it that way in the stat sheet, but
No, that's interesting that you say like you could kind of feel the energy, because I was actually doing the broadcast for the game, like doing the play-by-play, and I'd actually mentioned it in the first half that I did think you were gonna score like at the start of the game because you were playing like a really aggressive, like attacking style, and I don't know, it was just you could kind of see it coming.
I know, I was
almost.
hungry for it.
And the best part was so quick. Like you were just decisive about it. There was no hesitation. You just like.
I know, yeah,
it was perfect. It was actually really nice.
And then okay, so switching it up a bit. And we can talk about maybe throughout your career here, or if you want to stay on the season, but what's the most difficult like opponent, or I guess what I'm more curious about is like an individual matchup that you've had throughout your Husky career that's like kind of, one game you really get up for the game, or you're studying the tape and you're like, okay, this girl on the other team, like I know I really gotta work hard today.
It's a good question.
I think our whole team can agree. I think Regina is a really hard game because we've grown up playing with a lot of them.
Yeah.
So we all kind of know each other's individual tendencies, and for some reason we just show up like 10 times harder. It feels it's like such a gritty game.
So much.
We always win by the skin of our teeth, or like tie or lose.
Yeah.
Like it's such a close game. So.
I think I agree with what Stowe said, but I also like thinking about this season, like probably one of the hardest games. I think when we play Calgary, that's always like really like a hard game that we prepare for, we go into, and it's never easy. Usually for me, it's because like I play fullback, so like back line, outside, and their wingers are really good. So it's like it's usually like a very intense game for me, just physically and mentally, just staying locked in, making sure I'm not letting them cross the ball or get past me. So I'd say that's usually one of a tougher matchup for us too. So
that's such a good answer too, because we looked at the statistics as well, and like. I think 90%, but like 90% of it is like they work up the flanks. Like they don't really attack centrally, so especially from a fullback.
And like usually it's usually on my side that they're like going down a lot. So like
you like the right side, she plays left side.
So I'm like gassed, but it's okay.
And that's interesting you mentioned Calgary, because I think they're like a team that's similar to you in a lot of ways, just with like how many kind of scoring options they have, and then their depth as well. I don't know if you feel similar about that.
I'd agree. I think they do have depth on their team, and they can score. They take shots from distance, they cross. So I think like similarly to our attack, like they try to do many different things. So I'd say it's pretty similar to us.
Awesome. 2 more questions. Okay, biggest surprise of the season.
Oh, that's a good question. Biggest surprise. Like in games, or just
it could
like
be
any...
in game, it could be in practice, could be anything throughout the season that was just a surprise. Like I don't know if there was like a teammate that surprised you, maybe with their play, or I don't want to lead you too much because
you're giving us the answers.
This is gonna sound really dumb, but I would say our 5th year gifts, because I forgot it was our 5th year game until literally we were at team supper,
true.
and then they're like, "Don't come in the change room until 5:15 because we gotta set it up." And I was like, "Oh!" And then it came in and it was so nice.
And I'd say that too.
Like so much effort.
And like I wasn't expecting all of that too. Like they decorated lockers with pictures, like the gifts
and they gave us
that
a
they gave
picture
us.
frame to put them in.
And the gifts that they gave us were so catered to each person. Like it was like so specific. So I don't know. I think that surprised me too, actually. Because I thought everyone like kind of forgot. Oh, not forgot,
like,
but it was like very
really
like low key. Throughout the week, no one was really saying anything. I was like,
like I'd forgotten, and then I came in, I was like, oh my gosh.
I know. Yeah. So I'd say that surprised me too. Actually, I agree.
Getting the cold shoulder a bit that week.
Like nobody's saying anything to us.
No,
I'm like,
everybody hates us.
I'm like, what? Like,
What was the can you share the gifts that you got?
Okay, I got a blanket, which is like nice for like the bus, because usually like I usually just take Stowe's blanket that she keeps in the team room on the bus.
It's pretty much yours.
So yeah, like pretty much mine. Yeah, and then they got me spray deodorant, because also I never usually have deodorant, and I usually take some from one of my teammates, Jade. So they got me that. And then I got lip gloss too, I think.
Oh, cool.
And I think that's. And then we all got like a picture frame, and then everyone wrote like little letters, and then we got photos as well, and then an album book that we could put those photos in. So
very cool.
Yeah.
And some personalized letters as well from individual teammates.
yeah.
I got a Spider-Man pillow, which I think took up my whole budget. It's a nice pillow. It's on my couch.
It is nice.
I take naps on it. It is nice. It's walking out with it. It's like huge.
Are you a big Spider-Man fan?
I am, yeah. I have like a little, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have like a little shrine in my room, so like Legos and stuff, so yeah.
Awesome. Well, you have to show us sometime.
Yeah.
And then, finally, just one of the funniest stories or some funny moments that you could share from throughout your career here with the Huskies.
For me, it was one of our games, my cleat like split in half, and it was like I was trying to play it off, but then it got to a point where I literally couldn't really run or pass the ball. So I went down and I was like to the ref, I'm like, I need, like, my cleat is like messed up, you know? And then one of my teammates took her cleat off, like she was on the bench and she took her cleat off her foot. Taryn, shout out Taryn, because that was really nice. And I wore her cleat for the rest of the game, which I feel like that's not really funny, but it's embarrassing. Maybe some people were laughing. No, it's fine. Yeah, okay. Okay.
I don't know. I say two of them. One is, this can be over our career, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Last season, I forget. Did you get smoked in the face?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my God.
We're playing Regina. She gets smoked in the face with a ball, and then she's like goes
And the
down.
girl who
She's
kicked
bleeding.
it was one of my good friends too.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. Okay.
Not
She said
anymore.
sorry after.
Yeah. So she had to run off, and I had to play fullback for about 16 minutes. I told you, I was watching the clock. I was like, get me out of here. She comes back on with like a tampon in her nose.
And a jersey with a makeshift
yes.
number on the
And
back.
anywhere
Oh,
now,
geez.
and now anywhere that posts her on like their social media uses that picture of like her doing a throw in with like, oh no, not a throw in, but like
no,
just
but
like,
it's like me, like I'm like, please let that photo retire.
yes,
Please.
and it's the only photo they'll ever use.
Like, anything they ever post to me, it's always that photo. Please.
That's crazy.
And then I think this season, I think it's literally just Jenna, who's like one of our midfielders and she's a really good dribbler, was dribbling through the middle, and Jared got in her way and kind of did this, and I think she just like ran through
Went
him.
through.
Anytime it's a fail on Jared, it's funny. Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah. Well, I thank you guys so much for joining us today. It was
Thanks
great.
for
It was
having
fun
us.
to have you guys. Definitely a lighter interview than we maybe are accustomed to, so that was fun.
Yeah. Bringing some fun and positivity to the show
For
is
sure.
always good. And yeah, you're welcome to come back on anytime. So
Yeah, we'll have you guys on
Come on
when,
ours.
Yeah.
sounds
true.
good. Yeah, we have.
before you guys
We'll
head
do
to
it for the
nationals.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, thank you, and we're really excited to watch you guys on Saturday. Obviously, good luck, and we're hoping for the best. We're hoping you guys return to the prairies for the Final Four. You know, whether it's
We don't want the season to end.
yeah,
this weekend.
yeah. So looking forward to Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're back here for the final time this episode. Let's close things out with Husky happenings. We got three non-playoff teams in action this weekend with men's hockey, women's hockey, and football all taking part in regular season.
Yeah, that's right, Elliot. We've got some hockey for you coming up. So we'll start with the road first. So women's hockey, they're playing at Mount Royal, the number 3 ranked team in the country.
Yep.
Both Friday and Saturday night. I believe Friday 7 p.m., Saturday 5 p.m. as
Yep.
it goes. And yeah, they'll look to kind of build on this momentum throughout the week. Again, another tough opponent. So
To your point, another second weekend in a row now they face a top 10 opponent. Mount Royal, very strong. If you check the point standings, they have players up and down the top 10. So another test, early test for this women's hockey team that, as we mentioned earlier in the show, they continue to improve week after week, and hopefully this is the week they can get their first win of the season. But again, just another tough test, great learning experience for them. And then kind of shifting to football, who's on the road in their regular season finale at Calgary. They're taking on the Dinos, 2 p.m. McMahon Stadium. And, another exciting matchup, 44-40 overtime, double overtime win early in the season against the Dinos in our homecoming game. So we should expect a good game. Other than the fact that, the Huskies really don't need to win this game. They're locked into the third seed in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach the game, whether they use it to kind of rest some guys up, get healthy, or if they want to keep that momentum going.
yeah, I think, don't know for sure which way Coach Flory is going to ride with it. I kind of tend to maybe think he'd be the guy who wants to win that last game.
Yeah.
But I think with Calgary, I believe they are also potentially playing for that final playoff spot.
They are, yeah.
Yeah, so, they're going to come out fired up. With football, you don't ever want to be the team that's taking it light. That's when injuries happen. So I think probably the best way to go about it would probably be, get up early, establish that lead, and then maybe at that point you can start taking out some of your starters from there.
For sure, yeah. And to your point, Calgary will definitely be going, I think, pretty hard in that game. They need the win to get into the playoffs. They actually need a win and an Alberta win to get into the playoffs. They do hold the tiebreaker over the Golden Bears. They won their only matchup with Alberta this season. So if they do want that fourth spot, they need the win. So it should be a great game, fiery. I'm sure hopefully they can pull that out and carry that momentum into the Hardy Cup semifinals, which it does look like there is a very good chance we are headed to Vancouver to take on the Thunderbirds in that semifinal. They play Manitoba in the last week of the season, and unless they can beat the Bisons by 23 points, they will finish second in the standings, and Manitoba will finish first.
Sounds good. So, most likely on the road to UBC, and if not, on the road to Manitoba.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then the last game, so I don't know the last time this has happened, but only one game this weekend. 2 games, one team in action, and that's just the men's hockey team as they're taking on MRU for a pair of games this weekend over at MVP.
Yeah, number 2 versus number 9 in the U Sports top 10. So another ranked matchup for the Huskies, the 3rd in a row to open the season. So as we kind of talked about with Liam and Gunnar earlier, no slow start to the season for them. They really haven't gotten a break yet. So we'll see what happens this week. They do welcome the reigning U Sports player and goalie of the year, who are both members of the Cougars. So another tough test, obviously, but it should be exciting, and we're hoping for a packed barn as they are the only game in town with the Blades on the road. So if you want your hockey fix, make sure you get out to Merlis Belcher Place. For
sure, and a couple of former Blades on the team. I think most notably Trevor Wong. Any fans out there for the Blades, make sure you get your self down here to Merlis for the weekend. It'll be great hockey. I can continue to get that fix in, like you said, Elliot, and then actually on Saturday we got some cool stuff planned for the kids. There's going to be all the kids coming to the game are encouraged to wear their Halloween costumes. It's going to be called Howler-ween, and you can see Howler, our mascot. He's getting in on the fun and the costume as well. There's going to be some trick-or-treat stations, some face painting, so really great family fun. So if you've got the kids, you're looking for something to do on the weekend, that Saturday evening game, a bit of an earlier start as well, 5 p.m. Yep. So it's a great one to get to. But what do you think is the best costume we're going to see on Saturday?
The best costume we're going to see? It's a good question. I'll stay safe, and I'll probably go a superhero, some form of superhero.
That's fair. Yeah, anyone in particular that you want to shout out?
I'd love to see Batman.
Yeah?
I'd like to see a little Batman running around, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure we'll see a Batman or two.
Yeah, for sure. How about you?
I feel like, for whatever reason, we're going to see like a Pokemon or something. Yeah,
that's probably a good call.
Yeah, something like that. Or, I don't know, maybe what I like most is like when the parents get a bit creative too, and seeing those homemade costumes, sometimes those ones turn out the best. So yeah, I'm excited. Challenge out there, Saskatchewan parents, what creative your creative endeavors can we see on Saturday?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'll be entertaining, that's for sure. And not sure if we mentioned that Friday game is at 7 p.m., Saturday at 5 p.m. Tickets at huskytickets.com. So make sure you get out there. Great matchup between two teams hoping to contend for national championship. So
yeah, it'll be great hockey on display. And that's all we got for you today, folks. Thanks again for tuning in to the Huskies Unleashed podcast, sponsored by Innovation Federal Credit Union. no podcast next week. Gonna take a week off. I'm Darnell Wyke.
I'm Elliot Gabler.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.